working, hopefully. Fingers crossed it's working anyway and we can find some people to join us. Hopefully there are some people out there and will be able to join us on this call. If it's worked okay. There's somebody joining us, great. If anybody wants to wave and say hi, that would be also amazing. Because we're going to wait a wee minute or two before we get properly started. And tell you all about the fun and games I've been having getting this set up this morning. Oh, the drama we've had. Currently propped up this setup on, propped up on bits of plastic and against various bits and pieces to try and, hey Hannah, hey Ali, to try and get this set up because my computer wasn't working. It wouldn't let me do anything live from Facebook, so that's really helpful, Facebook. I'm going to have to try and figure that out later. But at the moment, hey Ralph, at the moment it's all propped up and I'm hoping you guys can hear me. Okay, the microphone should be set up. Can somebody just give me a wee comment to say, yes, I can hear you, I can see you, to make sure that it's working? Fingers crossed. Anyone? I'm going to go with, maybe you can't hear me. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Hi Ali, can you hear me and see me okay? Yep, thumbs up, thankfully. Oh, amazing. Oh, Musa. Okay, so one of the issues we're having is technicalities this morning. Facebook wouldn't let me watch this live on, it wouldn't let me do this live on my computer, which is what I wanted to do so that I could see all your comments, because now I'm going to have to, hey Rach, I'm going to have to like really squint to see your comments. And it was much easier set up. So I'm also thinking, hi Fiona, also thinking that at some point in this session that my phone might just fall over. So if it does, that'll provide us with much banter and laughs. So bear with us whilst we get this up and running. I'm so pleased that you can join us today just to go through this free session. So first and foremost, for those that know me, you know me as a mindfulness coach, as a small business. You can imagine all the one-to-ones have been cancelled, and when I get to see these lovely people in person. So what I've had to do is go online for all of my one-to-ones for those that can do it. And for those that can, my hope is that I start to share these group workshops with you on a weekly basis. We'll do some free ones, but we'll also probably do some paid ones on Zoom, which means that I can get to interact with you a wee bit more, get to see your lovely faces, and hopefully you can join us on there for those calls too. We'll go through some lovely meditation practices and get a bit of chat back from you. I'm a mindfulness coach. What does that mean? I teach meditation, mindfulness practices to learn to, for you to deal with things in a little better, for you to figure out what's going on in your mind, and for you to understand what's happening in your mind, and to find some peace and clarity, because I think for us all at the moment, and I'm going to try and ban the chat about the virus. Hey Jane, I'm going to try and ban the chat about the virus today because it's overwhelming, and if I'm finding it overwhelming and I teach meditation and mindfulness, then I can only suggest that everybody out there is feeling a little overwhelmed too. So we're going to accept that this morning, and we're going to kind of decide how we're feeling about it all, but then we're going to do some really lovely meditation practices, and I'm now roasting, to hopefully allow you to find some present moment awareness, which is going to really allow you to find some perspective in all of this craziness, because it is a bit crazy. So we are going to do some practices. I'm pretty much mainly going to be sitting here. I've got a cup of tea, so I encourage you to have a cup of tea too, and get nice and comfy. I suppose the first thing we're going to have a look at is I'm going to teach you something called a check-in. So when we're running about in our world, we sometimes can get these feelings of overwhelm and feelings of that we're out of control, that we can't really control what's going on, and we might not know how we feel, or we might badge it up as something greater, which is then quite overwhelming, something like anxiety or stress. So just at the beginning of this session, I want to take a few minutes just to drop in with ourselves and check in, just to notice how we're really feeling. Hey Jill. So let's do that, shall we? And you don't have to do anything special with that. You just have to bring your eyes to closed if it's comfortable. I'm going to do that. So we're going to begin by just finding a nice comfortable position on the chair, on the cushion, on the floor, wherever you are in your space. Just finding a nice comfy position and taking a nice long deep breath in. So breathing all the way out nice and long and slow. And then we're going to ask ourselves that question. How do I feel at the beginning of this session? And you might just find a word or a phrase that resonates with exactly how you're feeling in this moment. And just notice that word or phrase, whatever it is. Allow it to be positive, negative, whatever you find there, just let it be there. Then we're going to take a nice long deep breath in, breathing all the way into the bottom of your lungs and then breathing all the way out nice and long and slow. And then just gently bringing your eyes back to the light and back to the space. Giving yourself a wee wiggle and a wee stretch out. So, why do we do check-ins? Well, we probably go around all day at the moment, perhaps just going, oh my God, I'm so stressed, I'm so overwhelmed, or worried, panicked, or we might just be like, yeah, hey, I'm good, yeah, great. But quite often we're not very honest with how we're feeling. So it's a really great technique and tool to just check in with whatever that is and allow it to be there, because there isn't a lot we can do just now about the situation we're in. So actually just going, okay, I feel a bit shit about this, I feel a bit overwhelmed, I feel a bit peaceful today, whatever it may be, whatever's come up for you there. And if anybody minds or wants to, they can go on to the comments just now and even drop us a note with what those words were. Single words are great just to give me a sense of how you're all doing out there, because that's really what I used to do as a coach. Find out what's really going on in your mind. So happy for you to share some of those words. And like I said at the beginning of this call, for anybody that was on it, is about noticing that I have felt overwhelmed with this whole situation, and therefore I know there's plenty of you out there that are feeling overwhelmed too. And that's okay. That's okay to feel overwhelmed, but it's when it gets too much, when it becomes an obsession, and when we ruminate on it and that's the only thing we think about, then it can be really difficult to get on with the daily life. So some of the words that are coming in, strange, great word. And the words that come up for us in this, the beginning of this session, we don't need to fix them or change them. There's just a moment of us sitting here noticing what that word is. That's all. We don't have to do anything, fix it. Hey, Chris, we don't have to do anything with that word. We just have to notice how we're feeling. And when we notice how we're feeling with something, we can then decide whether we need to do anything about that, or we can just take some time for ourselves. And certainly when I've felt overwhelmed, I know that I need to take time for myself, whether it be to go for a dog walk, to eat chocolate, quite a lot of chocolate being eaten in this house, or have a cup of tea, or just have a meditation practice actually. Because when all that noise happens, we start to deplete our energies, and what we want to do is build them back up by doing anything that we feel is going to nourish our body and our mind. So whatever you're feeling, anxious is going to come up a lot, emotional is going to come up a lot, that's okay. And I think one of the main things I want you to take away from this today is nothing is normal. Being anxious or emotional or feeling strange or overwhelmed about this situation is totally normal. What is difficult is when the anxious, emotional, strange, sadness, overwhelm takes over and we can't get on with our daily life. That's when it becomes really difficult. So as long as we're able to notice what that emotion is and then move forward and move past it, then we will be okay. So how do we do that, Lou, when we're thinking of all these crazy things that are going on outside in the world? Well, one thing we need to do is finding some peace or clarity. So finding those moments where we can maybe just allow our brain to focus on one thing at a time rather than the overwhelm of what's going on in our world. So we can do that through mindfulness practices, and one of the simplest practices that we can teach you is how to find your breath. Now, hopefully, for all of us, touch wood, touch wood, touch wood, our breath is always going to be with us. So it's a dead easy thing to find as an anchor, and we should be able to find it in our body, feel the physical sensation of it moving our body. And what that does is it gives our mind, this crazy mind, something to do. It says, hey, do you know what? For a moment in time, how about we just clear all that stuff out the way and then come into our breath and find our breath in our body. So we're going to do that. The other great important thing about the breath is that when we have these anxious emotional thoughts, that's like us putting on the accelerator system in our brain that says, oh my God, let's get out of here, let's fight whatever it is. And with this current pandemic that we're facing, we can't actually get out of here at all. We're stuck and we can't fight whatever it is. So we have to just be with ourselves. So when we take that nice long deep breath in the body, what happens is we're putting the brakes fully on our system. And so we're going to learn to do that. Now, if anybody has any problems with breathing when they breathe in for a nice long slow breath and they feel panicked at all, I just want you to let that go. So just breathe normally if you find that difficult. But what we're going to try and find today is where we feel our breath in our body and do a short practice of meditation to do so. So I invite you to find a comfortable position on the cushion, on the chair, in your bed, wherever you are, lying on the floor, do whatever you want. Mindfulness meditation isn't about sitting like a Buddha, sitting all perfect, although you'll see some lovely pictures of me coming out very soon that my friend Ralph took of me as promotional shots, but you don't have to sit like that. You can sit any way you like, as long as your shoulders are back and down, you allow your body to breathe in really nice and deeply, and that's all. And if you're sitting in this practice and you feel a bit uncomfortable, then I just want you to start to move, because there's nothing worse than sitting for meditation and going, oh God, my leg's gone to sleep. What am I going to do with that? So just move if you need to move. Okay. I'm going to bring my eyes to closed. You don't have to if you don't want to. If that's uncomfortable to you, what you might want to try doing is just bringing your eyes to a soft close, which means that you're kind of looking through your eyelashes and just letting your blurred vision. But if you want to bring your eyes to close, let's do this together. Now, if I was on my computer, you might be able to see some of my goodies, like my singing bowl and my candles, which I've got set up here to make this lovely environment. But if not, I can show you. So we're going to start the meditation practice with the sound of the bowl, and we will close the practice with the sound of the bowl too. And what this does is, there's no religious practice in this at all. All it does is it's a lovely sound, and at the end of the practice, when you come to the end of the practice, and if say you've drifted off somewhere, that's totally fine with me, then the sound of the singing bowl will bring you back to the space. So for you guys that have just joined us, we're going to do a short breathing practice. It is a meditation, so I'm going to invite you guys to bring your eyes to closed, and we'll give it a go. So, bringing your eyes to closed or a soft gaze. Just going to begin by taking a nice long deep breath in. Breathing all the way into the bottom of your lungs and breathing all the way out nice and long and slow. Knowing that the in-breath will always follow the out-breath. And then just shifting your posture on the cushion or the chair or wherever you're lying. Just notice your posture. And we want to practice lengthening through the spine towards the ceiling or lengthening along the ground. Our shoulders come back and down, our arms and hands feel heavy in our lap or by our side. And we might be able to, even at this point, begin to feel the weight of our body on the cushion or the chair, and allowing our body to come to settle. And just breathing nice and naturally here, breathing all the way in and all the way out. Noticing in our body where we feel the breath the strongest. So we might notice it in our tummy, in our chest. We might even notice the rise and fall at our shoulders or even at our nose. But I want you to just notice if you can feel your breath move the body physically. Can you feel the rise and fall, the in and the out? Perhaps you can feel some coolness at your nose, There might be some tension in your chest. And if we've been holding our tummies in all day, just notice if you can let go of those tummies. Let go and relax the body as much as you can. Perhaps when we rolled our shoulders back and down, we felt tension through our shoulders. So just noticing if you can let go of any tension in your muscles here and allow that to be drawn towards the centre of the earth. So when we find that feeling of our breath in our body, just noticing it again, can you find your breath? Very specifically to you, where is your breath? Where is the rise and fall? Then we're going to take 3 nice long deep breaths in and all the way out. Breathing all the way into the bottom of your lungs and all the way out, nice and long and slow. Very gently and slowly, allowing your eyes to come back to the light and back to the room, shaking off any tension, stretching out through any knots, allowing your body just come back to the space. So for anybody that hasn't meditated before, well done, you've just done your first mindfulness meditation. Dead easy, wasn't it? And I just want you to notice where you felt your breath in the body. And if anybody at all wants to comment again on the comments, where did you feel it today? Was it in your tummy? Was it in your chest? Was it in your shoulders? Or could you even feel it at your nostrils? Wherever you feel it, that's okay. It's your breath. And what's really great about your breath is when it's with you and you're out and about, or when you're checking in with yourself, or even in the house just now when things seem to be a little bit overwhelming, notice if you can find your breath, and notice if you can take that nice long deep breath in and out that's going to slow down that system. One of the key questions for me in managing this overwhelm and this situation is, what is the reality of the situation? Now, that's a really tricky one because there's not a lot of clarity out there at the moment. But if we think about ourselves and what the reality of the situation is for us, what could we relate that to? So for instance, yesterday when I was speaking to a colleague, he said, nobody will care about my opinion. I don't like what I'm doing, but nobody will care, so I'm not going to raise it. And actually what we tried to do was say, well, maybe people would care. The reality is that people might care. And also the reality of the situation is you have an opinion that you want to share with people. So quite often our emotion about something, our past experiences, might get in the way of what the reality is. And if I think about mindfulness, the reality of the situation, we tend not to focus too much on the story, because when we get wrapped up in a story, it's usually about something that might make us feel worried or depressed or anxious. So for example, at the moment, if I was thinking mindfully about what the reality of this situation is that I'm speaking to you on Facebook Live, which is amazing, and hopefully you're listening, watching, or doing something else whilst I'm chatting away, and that's okay. That's it. You're there, I'm here, done, full stop, done. That's the reality of the situation. Now, if I allow my story to get ahead of myself, I might go, oh my God, does anybody care? Are they on here? Do they like me? Oh my God. And that's really silly, actually, because what happens then is we allow our emotions to get wound up, we start to get overwhelmed, we start to think about other people's thoughts, which can be really disastrous, because I don't actually know what any of you think. And if I was to spend my life and my energy worrying about what you guys think, then I wouldn't get anything done. I wouldn't be doing this Facebook Live for you just now. So allowing us to be in that state of what's actually happening, what's the reality of this situation, is a really great question for anything that when we feel overwhelmed. And I think one of the things that's come up for me today is, I also work in human resources. So one of the questions that's come up for a lot of my clients is, I'm going to lose my business, I'm going to have no money. Like really nth degree anxiety thought of total disaster. And quite often what happens, we go to 0 to 100 in what's going to happen. Now, As each day unfolds, we're finding out new information about support and help and people coming together and collaboration and just wonderful things that are happening. And I want to offer you this phrase or this thought on the whole thing, actually. We're in a global situation which no one can control or fix. Full stop. That's it. Now, if we apply emotion or thinking or stories behind that, we might find ourselves in overwhelm, anxiety or depression. What I'd like to invite you to do is, it's happening. Nothing we can do about it, full stop. And that's really difficult to do, especially if we are control freaks or we like thinking about what we can do. And what we can do is only in our own realm or sphere of control. So there's only certain things we can do here. Now, I'm not going to invite you to discuss that today because that'll be a workshop that we can run later on tonight. But what I want you to think about is, how can I manage my brain activity and my thought process around this when all of that stuff's happening? So we're going to look at that. When we think about mindfulness, it's right in the middle. It's present moment awareness. So everything that I've talked about so far is done. It's gone. It's past. So here we are in this lovely moment together, sharing with you these practices. And if I was to think about depression, it's worries about the past. It's ruminating on things that have happened that have been awful. And if I think about anxiety, it's worries about we haven't even discovered yet. We haven't gone through, so we don't know how they're going to unfold. But these are real things that people worry about. And what we want to do is practice the mode of being mindful, being completely present in the moment. So we're going to learn a longer meditation practice. And it's the key, fundamental principles of every practice I'm going to share with you. And we're going to go through various different stages in this meditation. And when you're sitting here watching, just notice if you have a judgment about this session. I mean, social media it loves a judgment, doesn't it? It loves a like, it loves a comment, it loves a share, whatever it does. That's asking you to provide a judgment on a situation. And I just want you to notice what is happening, when it's happening, without judgment or preference. So when you go about in the world, or in your home, because you won't be going out anywhere in the world, I just want you to notice what's happening, without preference. So it might be on a very basic level. Certainly in this household, I might notice that my husband is filling the dishwasher. But I'm going to stop there and not go into preference, which is not the way I like it. So just watch what your preference is for certain things that go on in the home, because when we drop that preference in, that's when sometimes conflict happens. And it might be that conflict is on a greater scale when we're out in the big bad world. However, when we're all confined in this little space, it can become amplified. So I might notice that my son is drawing me a picture. I might notice he's now drawing on the carpet. My preference would be that he doesn't draw on the carpet, but I might just have to go, okay, how am I going to respond to this? Rather than go, oh my God. So by practicing mindfulness, we can notice what is happening, when it's happening, without judgment or preference, and just allow yourself to be aware of, therefore, when you respond or react. That's my lovely thing for reactions. Okay, so is everybody okay out there? Please shout if there's any problems with the connection, because we're going to do a longer meditation practice. It should feel really nice and gentle. The plan with this is for it to be easy for you. I'm not making you work too hard today, and I will guide the practice completely. So this free session is just to make it dead easy for you and to give you some thoughts. The paid sessions, if you want to, sign up at a later stage, will work more as a workshop. So we'll get some more feedback and work with you on some of the things that might be going on in your head that we can try and unravel for you. So we're going to do a settling, grounding, resting practice. And again, we're going to start with the breath. We're going to think about our body on the cushion or on the chair or lying down on the ground. And then we're going to find a really nice restful face. And we're going to give our mind something to do. So like I said before, our mind is going to be distracted by thought, and we're going to allow it to come to settle with the breath again. Now, with mindfulness practice, we know you're human. So there are going to be thoughts that pop up there. There are going to be thoughts about all sorts of things. Whatever's bothering you just now, they will pop up. And what I would like you to maybe practice in this session is when that pops up into your head, just notice if you can say, hey, just you come back, mind, we're focusing on the breath. So that might be thinking about your thoughts like a little puppy dog that's wandered off, and you just say, hey, just come back here, we're focusing on the breath. So you might do that 100 times over in this practice, and that's okay. So a busy mind will be distracted, and we're going to just gently and be kind to ourselves bring it back to where we are. And if that all sounds good, we are going to begin the practice. So let me just check how we're doing for time. Hopefully we're all right. Yeah, we are. Perfect. Again, I'm going to invite you to bring your eyes to closed. And if that's no use for you and you don't like bringing your eyes to closed because the mind just is amplified, we'll just gently bring our eyes to a soft gaze. So either allowing your focus to go blurry or peeping through your eyelashes, whatever feels good for you. So finding a lovely comfortable position on the cushion, the chair, or on the ground, and we're going to begin. So we're going to start with a nice long deep breath in, breathing all the way into the bottom of your lungs and breathing all the way out nice and long and slow. Knowing that the inhale will always follow the exhale. And just breathing gently and normally for a few moments. And we're going to recall our motivation for coming and joining this session today. Whatever it was that drove us to be here, to switch on the computer, to follow this live, just what was your motivation for being here today? Drop that into our mind. Remember why we're here. And our intention for this practice is just to get used to settling on our breath, allowing our mind to settle with the rise and fall of our breath. So as we begin to settle the body, we're going to start to breathe in and breathe out nice and deeply. And we do so by equalising the breath. So we're going to breathe in for a count of 4 and breathe out for a count of 4. So we breathe in 2, 3, 4 and breathe out 2, 3, 4. Working with your own breath and your own count to lengthen and equalise that breath in the body right into the bottom of our lungs and then all the way out again. And as we begin to settle the breath in the body, we might even notice our shoulders drop away from our ears and our body begin to relax. You might even use the phrase, I am breathing in, I am breathing out. Whatever works for you. Then we're going to let go of phrasing and let go of counting and allow the breath just to return to a nice natural rhythm. And then we begin to notice the body on the cushion or the chair or the ground, noticing the points of contact your body has with wherever it is. Notice the weight of our body here, the centre point of our body. Our shoulders drop away from our ears, our arms and hands feel heavy in our lap or by our side. We might notice our posture as we lengthen through our spine, drawing the top of our head towards the ceiling. So adjusting through our posture, letting go of our tummies, letting go of tension, allowing with each exhale our body to soften that little bit more, if we can. And we notice that our body is supported by the cushion or the chair or the ground, unconditionally supported. Therefore it can begin to soften and relax away from tension. And our mind too can begin to soften and learn from the body as it softens and relaxes from thoughts, allowing it to settle in the body. So with this settling and relaxing and softening, we might find that our body begins to come to rest, and our mind can begin to come to rest too. And knowing that it's okay to get lost in thought, but gently inviting the mind back to the body, back to sitting, back to resting. And as you breathe in and breathe out gently and naturally here, just noticing where we find that breath again. Is it the same place as it was before? Where is our breath in the body now? Can we find it? Is it in our tummy? In our chest? Perhaps the rise and fall of our shoulders, or even at our nose. Just noticing the rise and fall of the breath in the body as we breathe in and breathe out. And wherever you feel it the strongest, just notice if you can settle with this rise and fall. Notice where it is. Notice if you can find some interest with the breath, whether it's longer on the inhale or longer on the exhale. Just noticing how it feels to breathe in the body, allowing your mind to settle in this present moment awareness. Just with the breath, nothing to do, nowhere to be, no reason to be thinking about anything else, allowing ourselves some time off, some downtime, some nourishing time. Just sitting, meditating, being guided and held. And it might be nice if you can find your breath in the body, just to place a hand wherever you feel the breath. And as you breathe in and breathe out, you might be able to breathe into that hand and move the hand physically with the body. And if you can feel your breath at your nostrils, just placing a finger underneath and feeling the coolness of the air as it comes in and out of your body. And then coming to a restful, peaceful moment, just for a moment of time. I'm going to drop in some affirmations to you now. And I want you to repeat these in your mind to yourself. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. As we come to the closing stages of the practice, I want you to notice if there's something you can drop into your mind about what you might be grateful for today. And you might use the phrase, I am grateful for. Whatever it may be in your world, in your space today, I am grateful for. And let that sit and land in the mind and in the body for a few moments. And as we come to the end of the practice now, we're going to breathe in nice and long and slow 3 more times, breathing all the way into the bottom of your lungs and breathing all the way out nice and long and slow, knowing that the inhale will always follow the exhale. Breathing in, I feel calm. Breathing out, I relax. Very slowly and gently, perhaps leaving your eyes to be the last thing to open. Stretching out through any tension before allowing your eyes to come back to the light and back to the space. Well done, everybody. So glad you could join me. And for anybody that joined in later in the game today, don't worry. I don't know if you can watch this again. Not really sure how it works. All starting to get to grips with things. I want to share some positive snippets with you, and for anybody that's been on this live session, I will see if I can send that out to you via Facebook. If you have any questions at all about the practice or things that came up for you in that, I don't think my messages work on Tranceform page for some reason, and that has been an ongoing battle for years. So if there's any techies out there that want to help with that, that's great. If not, you can drop me an email at louise@transformlife.co.uk. Drop me anything, literally at your beck and call at the moment. So if there's any questions, or if you want to talk to me about coaching, one-to-ones, the Zoom calls. So there's going to be a Zoom call tonight at 7. It's going to be more of a workshop, so a bit more invitation from you guys to speak out and ask questions, and really for it to be interactive so we can work on some coaching stuff for you guys. And then on Thursday night, we're going to do something different called Strengthening Your Breathing Practice. So it's another workshop totally on your breath. So if you want to join those, they're £5 to join. Drop me a note, drop me an email, and I can get you signed up for that. I hope that you've allowed yourself this time out of your day, that you are going to now just go and have a cup of tea or your lunch, have a nice deep breath, whatever it needs to be. Use those practices, use the power of your breath to deal with everything that's going on, and really give yourself time out to do that, whatever it may be, whatever feels good. Eat all the chocolate in the world, laugh, sing at the top of your lungs, do a little dance. Here's the last top tip for you. Do you know that if you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, you might have noticed in your office many moons ago when we used to work in offices, that people would stomp around the office getting really mad with themselves. And actually what they're saying to their body is, yes, we need to run, we need to get on with it, we need to fight. So instead, when you're feeling a bit overwhelmed or a bit stressed and harassed, just start busting out a wee dance. And then that says to your brain, hey, we don't need to be worried, we're dancing, everything's good. So that's just a bit of a laugh, but it does work and it's scientifically proven. So even if you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, how about putting some music on, singing at the top of your lungs, and having a wee dance? Sounds good to me. Thanks for joining me, everybody, and I'll see you on the Zoom call tonight if you're joining that, and if not, I will see you Thursday on the Zoom call, and if not, hopefully do some more free stuff next week. Keep your eyes peeled. Thanks. Have a good day.